Well, hey, buddies, it is TexAgs Rewind. We're here in studio like we always are. Sometimes we go behind the glass, but not today. Today we're talking about 22 and 22. We're inside the top 5. We go to number 4, Demani Richardson. We know what he means to this program, what he means to this defense. So we spent some time chit-chatting about Demani and coming back for another year. Love that. We talked to Jamie McCoy, talking tight ends on the program. That was good, and just looking ahead at the season. Chris Lowe from ESPN dropped in. This was not a planned guest. It just kind of happened, and he had some time with Jimbo. Spent some time with Jimbo and Mike Gundy and Brent Venables and even Sark, and we got his perspective on that over the last couple of weeks. He's had these series of interviews and conversations, so we had that. Trey Wallace of Outkick the Coverage on the program. He was awesome. Loved him. And Brian Kortan, the A&M men's golf coach, was there with Sam Bennett. He was the caddy. He saw the U.S. amateur champion do it at the highest level, and we talked about that and much, much more. It is TexAgs Rewind. Demani Richardson, a guy that yesterday we kind of talked about. He's a guy that I don't think we talk about enough because there's so much talent out there. But when we talk about why this defense could be elite, sure, it starts at the defensive line. That back end, my goodness, that they are loaded there in the talent in the secondary.
Well, they should be, and I like Demani Richardson a lot. A starter since the first game of his freshman year. One of those guys, he wish he made more plays, but he doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes.
Yep.
And, sometimes I'll take that over the guy that makes big plays. They had 2 safeties last year. One of them made a lot of big plays, but he made some mistakes. And as good as he was with the big plays, those mistakes really
it could cost you.
It did against LSU.
Yep.
Huge mistake in that game. So, but all that said, Demani Richardson is just a guy that he's just a good football player. And when he only has 3 interceptions, but, man, they've all been important.
4-year starter, too. And when Texas A&M played Arkansas last year, there was so much talk about how veteran of a team they were, and it did help them, absolutely helped them last year. The fact that you got Demani, and I always link him with Anais just because I think there's similar importance to their respective part of the team, right, to the defense and to the offense. 4-year starts, who's been with this team during an Orange Bowl season, who's been through the lows and the tough times, and already was probably a 3rd or 4th round pick in the NFL, decided to come back. That impact to the young guys and to this current team goes a long way.
Well, I would think, his leadership's going to be key. You don't come back. Look, I get it. He wants to enhance his draft stock, and that's actually a good business decision. Mm-hmm. But you don't come back to lose. If you're going to come back, then you're really wanting to go out with in a blaze of glory, so to speak. And I expect Demani Richardson, who's had 3 good years, I think the COVID year he was in and out of the lineup, but 3 good years to have his best season. And why wouldn't you? I mean, he's very experienced. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He has big playability, even though I'd like to see more. He had the strip that didn't go
didn't count.
That was erroneously, that play was called dead. Had an interception that interception against Alabama was a thing of beauty. I mean, it's funny when it seems like when A&M beats Alabama, there's going to be a tremendous interception in the end zone. That one didn't come out at the end of the game like what
an ending.
What was it? DeShays or Everett.
Right.
So I guess you not only have to have a guy get that interception, his name has to start with a D-E. But I think Demani Richardson is, he's that guy that you just look for so many things. Hopefully he'll make a big play here and there, but he won't make the mistakes. He'll keep that defense. He may be paired with a freshman, maybe a first-time starter, give them some on-field coaching. He can do all those kind of things, and those guys are so important.
Yeah. Do you remember how big of a deal it was that they got him?
Yes.
It was a huge deal. He's lived up to what we expected.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to get him another year, again, to me, speaks so highly about, think about it. There was a coaching change at his position, or a defensive coordinator. There was a coaching change there. And it would be very easy to test the waters and go into the NFL. But DJ Durkin must have sold him on, a couple things must have happened. A, he loves this university, right?
Well, you've seen his tattoo, right?
Yeah.
He's got that. the A&M logo tattooed on his calf.
Is it on his calf?
I think so.
Okay. His love for this university. You can't transfer when that happens.
No,
that's be awkward. Can you imagine?
But that tells you, I mean, that he, like you said, he loves this program, this university.
Optimistic is great if it's realistic optimism, right? Like if you're Vandy thinking you're going to go, 11-1 in the SEC, that's not legit. So are you one that thinks, all right, this year could be really good, but next year's the year? Or are you one that thinks, no, slow down. Maybe this is the year?
I think this is the year. I think coming off, I think last year we didn't do as well as we should have. I think we lost some games that like I said, we shouldn't have lost. And I think Jimbo knows that. We didn't have, Haynes went down early. We've had some quarterback, Calzada's out of here now. And I think with all the incoming freshmen that we have, I think no less than 2 or 3, maybe 5 can come out there and make a push to get on the field. And I just see us building that this year, and hopefully it turns over into recruiting again and us having possibly a top 5 class again next year. So the time is now to keep the momentum going. We don't want to let off of the gas.
Now, I know this. When I ask you this in about a month, we'll have a different answer because you'll have some film to really look at these tight ends that A&M has. But when you think about the talent that they brought in and the way Jimbo loves to use tight ends, give me your early visions. I know you haven't been to practice, so it's hard to see what these guys are doing, but your early visions of how tight end will work in this year's offense.
I see Jimbo using it kind of like when I was there. I was more utility. I know when we had Sherman and whatnot, we could bump me out to slot, off the line, in the backfield. I see us having 2 tight ends and making them put bigger personnel on the field to have to block us, but then us spreading them out. And that's Jimbo's MO, is making sure he's managing the clock, kind of methodically taking, I want to see 7, 8, 9, 10-minute drives. Defense goes out there, gets a stop, and then we do it again. And we just kind of ride that thing all the way through the season. So 2 tight ends or 3, whatever the case may be, whether you get into the goal line action and whatnot, if you got good tight ends that can create mismatches, which is what it's all about, you got to use them. So I know Jimbo his philosophy is control that clock. So I want to see him do that.
When did you become a tight end? At what point did you make the change? Like, that's my position.
This was when Sherman came in. Sherman actually came in, and I was quarterback. I came in as quarterback, and then I was like, man, I just got to get on the field. I want to be around all this talent that was coming into A&M. So I actually went to receiver. So Sherman came in, and we had Nolan Cromwell, who I'm not sure if he's still even coaching right now. But Cromwell came in, and I was a receiver. And our tight ends just weren't kind of getting it done in I guess, spring ball and whatnot. So Sherman just came to me one day and said, hey, would you mind putting on 10, 15 pounds and going to the tight end room? And I was just the type of player, wherever you need me, put me there. I just want to help the team in some form, some fashion. So I put on the weight, and the rest was history.
How difficult was that, or was it easy? I mean, were you just eating chicken all the time? And what were you doing?
Man, if I'm honest, I was eating Whataburger late. It was some beer pong. It was the typical college life, going to the tap, doing all the things. But at that point, I just didn't have, sometimes you want to watch your weight. You don't want to eat crazy. I was just more inclined to just eat everything, do what I could to put the weight on and keep it on. So that part of it was easy. But trying to get stronger, and then definitely having to block those DNs and the bigger back. I went from blocking linebackers and safeties to having to block these DNs and whatnot. That part of it was tough. You can have all that.
So did you keep your speed, or did you lose a little bit of it?
I kept the speed. I still I feel like I could go out there and run a 4.6 if I had to.
What?
Today. But 4.6, I know I could pull it out, but I kept the speed. It wasn't, I've always been a faster player. And it, like I said, it was kind of bad the way I put the weight on, but we still had great coaches, and Coach K, our strength coach, he stayed on top of us. And I was always competitive in the off-season training. So whether it was drills or whatnot, I always try to keep that aspect of my game.
Why do you think tight ends seem to do pretty well with Jimbo early on? Like, there's not a big adjustment. Jalen Watermeyer didn't have to adjust. Like, they're able to Jace obviously came by fast too. Why does it happen quickly?
I think it happens quickly because you're closer to the quarterback. You're whether you're running a 5-yard out or something over the middle, you're kind of the quarterback's release valve. You know, most times quarterback have their check downs. You don't want to be known as the check down Charlie, but that tight end is always the guy that's kind of near and dear and kind of can just squeeze it into a spot as opposed to your receiver who may be downfield or you got to really read the coverage. That tight end is kind of a shorter, quicker throw, and you're able to get access to him quicker. And then as far as Jimbo coming into it, I think he just puts an emphasis on what he expects out of those guys, and he has some really good talent that is able to do what he's asking and needing of them.
What's your read on the quarterback situation here?
Oh man, I haven't had my ear to the streets and been in the blogs and whatnot so much this summer and dealing with the camp and whatnot. But I would say it goes to Haynes just because I see Jimbo wanting to use the quarterback's legs in some fashion. You know, when he had Kellen, 2-3 year starter, he was able to do speed option, and lo and behold, if you have a play breakdown, you want a quarterback that can kind of wheel out of there and keep the play alive and extend it for a little bit. So thinking of that and what Jimbo likes, I could see him giving the lean to HK.
Well, people seem to forget about 2020 when it comes to A&M. They just, why do you think that's the case?
I think it's because, and I don't know about every person out there, but I looked at that 2020 team. I watched them. I got to see them in person twice. And I was like, okay, this is a strong football team. I got to see them here in Knoxville play once, where I'm based out of. And you look at what they did there compared to them going into 21. Maybe it was the whole COVID year and things kind of flew off the rails and people seem to forget that. But you look at it and you have to remember, man, they played an all SEC schedule. It's not like they had cupcakes outside of the conference and the non-con. So I don't know why people seem to forget that, because to me, that is almost a foundation of what they could do and what this team should look like, in years going forward. So, it is kind of baffling. I understand what happened last year, but then you can't forget what happened the year before. So
what can you share with us? And I know you had a piece in your story about the whole Saban fiasco and just moving on and nothing personal. What's some insight you can share with your conversation with Jimbo about that?
No, he's ready to move on. I don't think he's forgotten about it. I know he hasn't. But he's tired of talking about it. I think everybody saw his quote. It's time to quit talking, shut up, play. He was stung by the fact that Saban would say that they bought the whole class. I think had Saban not said bought, just said, hey, look at, A&M, this whole class they got, they used NIL. They went out and got all these players under the guys in NIL. Jimbo probably would still been mad, but I don't think, in fact, he told me that's what triggered him, the word bought. I don't think he would have been quite as fired up about it. And I think he felt like it was a shot at the players, the families, the staff, the whole program. And in his, if you know Jimbo Fisher, he's not going to back down. He said, listen, I was going to stand up. I'm still going to stand up. It's not like Nick and I were phone pals from the get-go. We talked some. But he said, I think that's probably the big misconception, is that even though we work together with people, now that we're competing against them, we don't go to dinner together and swap Christmas cards and talk all the time. There's respect because of what he's done, certainly. And I think the way that Jimbo went after him personally, that was the thing that probably surprised me the most. And I asked Jimbo, I said, did you say anything you regretted saying? And he said, yeah, you say what you say. Consequences are what they are. I think we all probably said things in the heat of the moment that a year later, a month later, 5 years later. But I can tell you this about Jimbo Fisher. He's not he ain't going to back down from any kind of conflict or controversy. And he believes in his football team and felt like he was doing the right thing. Whether you agree or don't agree with what he said at the moment, standing up for his football team. He's not going to apologize for it.
As far as, because he's earned it. He's earned some exemptions on tour. He's going to play in the Masters. There's some really, really cool things that come with it. But as far as Sam goes, that really won't change who that guy is. I mean, he's gonna walk into the facility with Chick-fil-A. He's gonna, show up, shirt untucked, and trying to figure out what his next move is. And he's just gonna look around to his teammates and hang out and look at his phone because he likes to look at his phone. But for the most part, it won't change who he is because he's still one of us. He's an Aggie. He's a Madisonville kid that loves being here. That's why he's still here rather than already turned pro. But the opportunities that are there for him significantly changed. And maybe that's the best comparison. He was arguably maybe the best player in college golf last year or close to it. And really none of these opportunities were there as far as Masters, U.S. Opens, tour exemptions. I mean, so to speak. I mean, he's had a couple of little ones that he's earned, but now it's like real right in front of him. So it's a significant change from being just an unbelievably great player in college world to winning the U.S. Amateur.
When did it become real? Because you mentioned Saturday being the day. Sunday, at some point, you're thinking to yourself, this guy's about to do it. He's about to take it. Like, when did it become? Was it at the very end? Was it when he had the 5-stroke lead? When did you realize he's about to win it all?
It's so hard to finish matches. I mean, I think probably people saw on TV. It's just Ben handled himself great. I mean, he made some great plays and some great putts and really, handled himself very well. And, Sam got up quite a bit. But to close somebody out in a match play deal is difficult. So, we really tried to stay where we were, where our feet were. We kind of always talk about good golf will take care of everything. And we just kept talking about playing good golf. And we felt that good golf would win out in the end. It might be close. It might, might have folded them up early. But Ben hung in there and really did a great job. But I never felt like Sammy was behind the 8 ball. I mean, and he never panicked. So really, you didn't know you were going to win till the end. But when he hit the tee ball on the last hole, I was like, yep, this guy's got it today. So, it was pretty cool.
So I'm liking at the moment an older video because I can't like this one that hasn't been posted yet as I record this. I'm subscribing. I've done that, but I unsubscribed just to resubscribe just so I can do it for this. And I'm sharing and commenting. I'm doing that all without really touching this keyboard. Just do what I just said, please. Bye.